insight that the act of knowing, the knower, the object to be known, the distinction between the subject and the object, truth and falsity, are all empty. This is a wisdom without attachment. It is synonymous with not involve attachment or make men non-clinging, HhéNH. However, if ultimate truth is regarded as something fixed or standing for an absolute or self-existing thing, it becomes a new attachment and worldly truth. One has to re-examine it from yet another, higher standpoint and see that all truths are empty. Ultimately, to realize this empty nature of truth is Prajna. True wisdom is knowing nothing substantial. In a strict sense, it has no knowing or knowledge. Prajna is an insight that the act of knowing, the knower, the object to be known, the distinction between the subject and the object, truth and falsity, are all empty. This is a wisdom without attachment. It is synonymous with Sünyata. Tu.is no knowing and empty nature of Prajna is well stated by Seng-chao.
Thus in Prajna there is nothing that is known, and nothing that is seen. It is evident that there is a markless knowing and unknowing illumination. Real Prajna is as pure as empty space, without knowing, without seeing, without acting, and without objects. Thus knowledge is in itself without knowing, and does not depend on anything in order to be without knowing. Unfortunately, the doctrine of emptiness in Madhyamika Buddhism is often interpreted as absolutism or nihilism. The word empty or emptiness is regarded as a descriptive name referring to absolute being or absolute non-being. Actually, the Sanluan Buddhist teaching of emptiness as the middle way is the denial of both extremes. The claim that all things are empty means that all things are neither absolutely existent nor absolutely non-existent. This point was succinctly drawn by Seng-chao as follows.
For what reason? If you would say that things exist, their existence arises non-absolutely. If you would say that they do not exist, their forms have taken shape. Since they have forms and shapes, they cannot be the same as inexistent. So, this explains the idea of the emptiness of the non-absolute. If the existence of a thing were absolutely real, it would then be self-existent and independent of causes and conditions. But all things are dependent on causes and conditions. So a thing cannot be self-existent and absolutely real. On the other hand, if the universe were non-existent and absolutely nothing, it would be motionless and its phenomena would not arise. But we see that myriad things do arise from various causes and conditions, so they cannot be absolutely unreal. Thus the doctrine of emptiness in Sanluan Madhyamika thought is a middle way, and should not be identified with absolutism or with nihilism.
Actually, the word emptiness, according to Sanluan Buddhists, is merely a convenient means to lead sentient beings and to enable them to be free from various attachments. This tool has multiple functions and uses. The Buddha was considered by Sanluan masters to be a soteriologist at heart and his teaching to be practical in character. His main concern was the nirvana of mankind from evil and suffering, and his teachings were upaya, skillful means, used to achieve this goal. The Buddha found that the minds of ordinary people were always attached and bound to views, difficult to emancipate from birth, old age, suffering and death. He intended to help them gain enlightenment, yet he realized that they could understand only mundane things and ordinary language. In order to save them, he used common words, such as cause and effect, existence and non-existence, right and wrong, affirmation and denial, and empty and not empty, to explain his teachings. In fact, all the words used are nothing more than tools to aid in purifying the mind.
Though language may play tricks on us, the Madhyamikas do not deny its practical value. They acknowledge that language is useful and even necessary in daily life, for without language we could neither speak nor write. According to Nagarjuna, ultimate truth has to be explained by speech, and speech is conventional and conditional. Language as worldly truth is essential for the attainment of ultimate truth and nirvana. Nagarjuna wrote, "Without worldly truth, ultimate truth cannot be obtained. Without obtaining ultimate truth, nirvana cannot be obtained." In order to communicate with others, we need conceptualization and predication. The mistake lies in identifying meaning with object, and concept with reality. To avoid this, one should know that words and names are empty. When our words are not regarded as standing for any essence or self-existing object, they can be used to expose the absurd implications of metaphysical speculations. The function of language can be likened to a raft. A man intending to cross a river to get to the other bank, where it is safe and secure, makes a raft. With its help he safely reaches the other shore. But however useful the raft may have been, he will now leave it aside and go his way without it. So also language, including the term dharma, is like the raft, to be discarded after nirvarja.
Clinging to or longing for things or ideas is also likened by Sanluan Buddhists to fire, and as such a source of suffering, delusion and ignorance. In this analogy, emptiness as a soteriological device becomes like water. But the analogy is complex. Hsueh-li wrote, "If water could extinguish fire and then again produce fire, what would we use to extinguish it?" The view that things come to an end or are eternal is the fire and emptiness can extinguish it. But if one still clings to emptiness, then there is no medicine that can eliminate the disease. One who knows the proper nature and function of the word emptiness and other terms can nevertheless use these concepts to resolve philosophical confusion. Hsueh-li himself used the terms being and non-being to clear away a problem in his teaching of twofold truth on 3 levels.
Ordinary people usually believe that the universe is real and what appears to them through the senses is considered true. They affirm the reality of appearances and hold that they belong to the realm of being. But saints or enlightened men, Hsueh-li pointed out, would not accept this realism, and would realize instead that all things are empty. What appears to us through the senses belongs to the realm of non-being rather than being. Realism is treated by Hsueh-li as worldly truth and the denial of it as ultimate truth. This is the first level of spiritual growth. On this level, one may be attached to the concept of being. This attachment can be eliminated by knowing that the true state of things is more like non-being than being. However, men may still have an attached way of thinking. Now they make a distinction between being and non-being and hold that the terms being and non-being are descriptive names standing for 2 completely different states of affairs. The denial of being is believed to entail the affirmation of non-being. This dualistic way or reasoning is an attachment, a kind of worldly truth. To know that both being and non-being are empty is ultimate truth. This second level of spiritual growth lets people realize that the true state of the universe cannot be described as being or non-being.
But men continue to long for something. They may think that if reality is neither being nor non-being, it must be something beyond being and non-being. For Hsueh-li, this monistic absolutism is another extreme view to be refuted, for that which is beyond being and non-being is really empty. Like the previous, dualistic ways of thinking, this metaphysical viewpoint belongs to worldly truth. The denial of both dualistic and non-dualistic metaphysics is ultimate truth. Hsueh-li's critical examination of the problem of being and non-being is a means of purifying the mind from various attachments. Kung, emptiness, is used whenever extreme views occur. It has different connotations and implications on various levels. On the first level, emptiness means that common sense things are illusory and unreal. It is expressed by Hsueh-li as the denial of being. On the second level, emptiness implies that the nihilistic as well as common sense views of the universe are unacceptable and that all discriminations or dualistic ways of thinking should be dismissed. On the third level, emptiness displays that monistic as well as the dualistic and pluralistic views of the universe should be rejected. It is expressed as the denial of both duality and non-duality. When all conceptualizations and other attachments are completely eliminated, emptiness means absolutely non-abiding, clinging to nothing.
Thus the word kyung has no meaning by itself, but acquires a meaning in context. It gains its true connotation only in process. When nirvana is achieved, it loses its meaning and should be discarded. As with medicine, emptiness is of use to a man only so long as he is ill, but not when he is well again. Hsueh-li said, originally, it was to counter the disease of belief in being that we preached non-being. If the disease of belief in being vanishes, the medicine of emptiness is also useless. Thus we know that the way of the sage has never held to either being or non-being. What obstacle can there be, then?